because of course we have a prayer list of people that are currently dealing with sicknesses. I got two of my members actually having surgery on today. Yeah,
Well,
one
for
of them.
I just want to let you know, I just went live.
Oh, you went? Oh, I see. I didn't know you was going to do that.
I just went live. And for anybody that's hearing this and getting the notification, I am now with my spiritual son, Norman Armstrong, who's the pastor and founder of Bold Ministries in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And we just decided to hook up a little bit today to test my new found StreamYard platform. And he was just telling me about his prayer session that he has every day at 12. You want to give us a little bit more information? Hey, Carmen, she just came in. Can you see the comments, Norman, on your side?
Let me hit. Because I didn't know we was going to be going live. So
And Carmen, let me know where you're coming from, sweetheart. I know you're on Facebook. Where are you located? Just let us know. Again, this is Pastor Norman, and I am Antoinette Sawyer, and you probably know that by now, but we're just doing an impromptu session. I'm testing out my StreamYard platform, and he graciously decided to hook up with me. He's our spiritual son down in Moncks Corner, and she's from Portland.
Portland,
Okay.
bless God.
Yeah, yeah.
Bless
Well,
God.
give us just a little bit of information. You do a 12 o'clock noon session every day, right?
Well, actually, this is part of something that we started at the church. We're having what we call a 20 days of prayer and fasting for breakthroughs. And so
Mm-hmm.
again, it's like a consecration. You know, a lot of ministries do that. As we transition from one year to a new year, they go on what we call a 21-day fast, and it's because we're utilizing the Daniel fast. And so again, according to Mark chapter 9, verse 29, when Jesus was telling the disciples the reason why they were not able to free the young man from the deaf and dumb spirit. He said some things don't come out but by prayer and fasting. And
Now,
so,
when you fast, and when a lot of people fast, and I know this over the years, and we're coming from Sinette. Good morning or good afternoon. Uh, Whenever we've talked about fasting, and you guys you know that we used to be very constructed and confined within the religious circles, and we're not as much now, my husband and myself, as you are still. But when we fasted in the past, it was because we were trying to get something from God.
mm-hmm.
We were trying to make something happen. And I'm beginning to realize that when the person fasts now, when somebody fasts now, it should be to thin out the ego.
Mm-hmm.
It should be to thin out the ego and allow that person to have uh, more of a clear pathway for whatever intuitive information that might want to emerge from them.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people get very, very inflated when they fast. They feel like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I accomplished this, and so
I arrived.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I share with them it's pretty much a discipline where not only does it cause you to become more aware of your true identity and who you really are in God. That's what I share with them is because see, again, like you said, a lot of people use it as a practice to be religious, and then it feeds the
Mhm.
ego. But
Mhm.
I share with them, no, this is actually where you should get an awakening, because a lot of things that we attach ourselves to, because we don't just fast from food, we always use the food or
Yeah.
whatever. But like I share
Yeah.
with them, during this time, you should disconnect yourself from stuff that always get your
Mhm.
attention.
Mhm.
That way, now you can focus on who you are in God and about your oneness and your
Yeah.
identity. And so it brings a type of sensitivity to the individual if they're really focused on what they're
Yeah,
doing.
and for myself, I'm more in tune with the inner work. I know a lot of, and being a pastor as you are, I'm sure you have to deal with things a little bit different than what we do at this point. But for myself, the inner work that we are now on the journey of our inner self, discovering our real self, the concept
Hmm.
of myself. And I realized I was just looking at a couple of things before you came in, that Antoinette, which is my name, was born the day she was labeled a girl, the day she was labeled black, the day that she was labeled cute or ugly, the day she was labeled tiny or too big, the day that she was labeled as different from others, the day that she was labeled smart or dumb,
Mm-hmm.
the day she was labeled as poor or rich, the day she was labeled as popular or nerdy, the, the day she was labeled as educated or illiterate, and the list goes on and on. That's when Antoinette was born. But
Mm-hmm.
I was here before Antoinette was born.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
I is who we are, or who I is.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's
So
it.
all of the labels that we've accumulated gave us a concept of who we think we are,
Mm-hmm.
and those concepts is what you're probably trying to help them with their fastings to thin out some of that stuff.
Exactly.
And then there's an Antoinette that considers herself spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's very key, what you had just shared concerning the labeling. And
Mm-hmm.
so as if they focus on and again get away from the religious aspect
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
because to
And
be
you
honest,
can't snatch them away from it. They have to
right.
kind of be inched away from it. Yeah.
Hmm. And so again, the things that label us, when you go into this time, realizing the real you have
Mm-hmm.
no need of the things
Mm-hmm.
that we're actually quote unquote fasting from.
Right.
Yeah, you see what I'm
Right.
saying? The real
Yes.
us don't need the sugar. The real us don't need the meats. The real us don't need all of those things. And so that's why I mentioned to them pretty much it is a spiritual discipline, but oftentimes they reap physical benefits from it. Again,
Yeah.
this is not a dieting plan. We're not going on diet fasting to lose weight or whatever. No, this has to do with you
That's
awakening
a good
to.
one. That's a good one, but it's beneficial, but it's not what you're doing.
That's right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, it's about walking into your true identity, or you becoming more aware of who
Mm-hmm.
you really
Mm-hmm.
are, and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. And so
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing this for 21 days. We're getting it's
So,
funny
well,
because,
what is a Daniel fast? Tell us a little bit about that.
well, the Daniel fast, according to the religious circles, pretty much the Daniel fast is a discipline that they use where it's pretty much you're not allowed to eat any meats, no sugars, no processed food, no dairy
Okay.
products, anything that pertains to animal you don't eat. Pretty much, to make it simple, it's just fruit and vegetables,
More vegetables. Yeah.
water, and natural juices.
Well,
And
and that's very timely. And I want to say hello to Sinette too. She's coming in from Denmark.
bless God, bless God,
Yeah.
bless
So,
God.
and I want to say too that that kind of a fast right now with the COVID-19 is what they're recommending.
Hmm.
They're recommending that type of a fast. And so, in the location where you are, I know COVID has been really kind of running rampant, and
Hmm.
that's a really really good thing. Even if it's just a health wise fast, that would be very beneficial to the people there.
Yep. And I'm glad you said that because just 2 weekends ago, sad to say, we buried one of our deacons
Mm,
who actually had contracted the virus. And matter
okay.
of fact, his wife is in surgery today. They're removing a mass from her brain, but he contracted the virus. But he had an underlying medical condition.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
diabetic.
Yes.
And so because of that, it affected his kidneys. And
Hmm.
so again, I tell my people all the time, it's so funny when they come back with the praise reports. I had a checkup and the doctor said my sugar level is
Hmm.
great. What am I doing, and so forth? And I said, isn't it funny how we are called you guys to a fast only for certain things to begin to happen, and now your doctor's been telling you to do this all before, and so
Yes.
forth. And so
Yes.
again, it's
Yes.
about disciplining oneself.
Well, I'm so glad we hooked up, and we're going to hook up again
Oh,
to
definitely.
do something really formal
Uh-huh.
and allow the people to know and promote it before we do it. And I just wanted to make sure I could do that today with you, and it's just great. I'm glad we can do it. And
Yes,
it's good
please.
and it's also good to see you.
Yes, Mom. I miss you guys. I
I
miss you
know,
guys.
I know, I
Yeah.
know, I know. So we'll do this again real soon. And
Okay.
Carmen and Sinette, I'm glad you guys tuned in with us and let us know that we're being heard and seen. Thank you so much. And bless Sinette in Denmark and Carmen in Oregon.
Well, bless
Norman,
God.
yes, yes. You have anything else you want to say?
Well, again, just want to say hello to them, and as well to Mom, miss you, and Dad. Want everyone to please be wise, please be safe,
Yeah.
and continue. This is a time, we I've taught the people here in our area, let's flip this pandemic and make it work out for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I know many of us are having difficult challenges with the change of lifestyle and how we normally
Yes.
do things, but I think it's a great time for especially married couples to
It is.
rekindle the fire, so
Bond
to speak. You see what I'm saying? For parents to really spend time with their
with
kids, and
their
I'm talking about
children.
quality time with kids.
Mhm.
We're living in a time where technology is pretty much taking over things. You have your children in their bedrooms and they're on their smart devices and so forth. But I was sharing with those here, hey, I need you guys to go find the Monopoly games and chess boards and checkerboards
Mhm.
and what's Candyland? You remember Candyland?
Mhm. Well, I
And
think now I don't remember
you
Candyland.
don't
That's
remember
that's
Candyland?
not my generation, but Monopoly I do. Monopoly. I
Yeah.
do. But you're right. It's taking us back to the things that we kind of forgotten and we that were very important. They were very
Hmm.
important things. Very
Yeah.
important things. So now that your church is virtual, like
Hmm.
ours is, how are you adjusting as a pastor to that?
Well, in the beginning, it was very difficult, very difficult. And it's funny because the young people at our church have been pushing me to get on social media for a long time, for a couple of
Mm,
years, but
mm,
it was never something that I was really attracted to. I'm used to being in front of the people. I'm very sociable and
mhm.
so forth. So I kind of felt like, using social media is not really that
Yeah,
personal.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Same
saying?
here. Same here.
And
Yeah.
so I had to make a major adjustment, and it was funny because when the pandemic happened, and of course when we got the word here that we needed to shut down, our ministries and so forth, to practice social distancing, I woke up one Saturday morning and I just heard loud and clear, "I need you to stay connected with your people."
Oh, okay.
And it was funny because immediately I knew what it meant. Oh, so it's time for me to get on social media and so
Yeah,
forth. And,
yeah,
and I think
yeah.
one of the reasons why I was not participating on this platform is because of all the craziness that was on it, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
forth. So I wanted to kind of stay away from that. But when I heard that in my spirit, I need to stay connected. It was so funny to me, and of course, I had to just make that decision, that choice to get on it. And so, of course, the younger generation, part of my ministry, they are loving it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Matter
yeah,
of fact, I just had I call it word encounter because we don't have our musicians, we don't have all the other things that comes with what we call a normal worship service. It's just the word, just the teaching and so forth. And so I call it the
mm,
word encounter. And we
mm.
just had one last night, and oh my God, it's been amazing. And
That's good.
so I
And
think.
I think that it's teaching those of us who've had churches where we've given the people quite a bit of stimulation with our music and our
Hmm.
singing and even in our preaching. I mean, you can preach online, but it's not the same as standing up in a pulpit.
Hmm.
So it's like it's forcing them to live beyond their feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of us have really depended on getting that boost from
That
church.
emotionalism.
Yes, and
Hmm.
then when we had the shut in, we had to deal with our feelings. A lot of us have not been comfortable with being alone and
Hmm.
comfortable being by ourselves. It causes too much inner reflection. And
Mm-hmm.
so we want something to kind of take our mind off of that and take our
Mm-hmm.
mind off of our situation. But we need to look at our situation and learn how to deal with our situations. And
Exactly.
I think this is really forcing people to do that. So it's good in that regard. It's very
Mm-hmm.
good. Very
I,
good.
I have to actually say, and it was funny. I was on a platform um, in November. One of my good friends, Dr. Wayne Snyder, was having a men's revival on social media using StreamYard, and I was one of the speakers on there. And
Mm-hmm.
so they was the topic was reset, and of course he had different questions to ask us. But close to the end of the session, I had to be honest with all the brothers that was on there. I said, "Now this is going to be strange coming from a pastor." I said, I want you guys to understand something. During this time of the pandemic, I've enjoyed, literally enjoyed myself not having to be at the church, on the platform,
I
preaching and
know.
so forth and so on.
It's totally selfish, but it feels so good.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to understand. I'm not being selfish because for one who never had what they call in religious circles a sabbatical,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was a time where I actually became more acquainted with myself.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
didn't realize that I lost my identity and my sense of self
Oh yeah.
in the
Yeah.
midst of the people. I got to be
Yeah.
at the church. I got to have a word for them. I got
playing
to do this.
playing yeah, and playing that role, and
Hmm.
that even goes with our works, and our work that we some people can't work outside of their homes now,
Hmm.
so it's causing them to do the same thing. Who am I,
Yep.
without this constructed identity
Exactly.
that I put on to do this, to play this role. And I think we
Hmm.
got some more people came in. We have Amelia Richardson. Amelia, tell us where you're coming in from, sweetheart. And then my sweetheart, my nephew Russell is on here as
Wow, I
well.
haven't seen Russell in a while.
Hey,
Hey there, Russell.
Russ. Yeah, so this is just the impromptu session that Norman and I decided to do because I've gotten this new platform called StreamYard, and I'm testing it out. And he's a good guinea pig. And Amelia is in New York.
Oh, really? I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, okay, you're a New York girl.
Yeah,
But
I'm a
anyway,
Yankee.
I'm glad you're here with us, Amelia, and Russ. I'm glad you're with us as well. We were getting ready to wrap it up, but then we started talking again. But
Hmm.
yeah, this whole thing of being shut in has really, really I think caused people to look inward
Hmm.
and at what kind of person am I? Who am I actually? If I
Hmm.
didn't if I didn't have that role, then what would I be?
Hmm.
Somebody says, tell Apostle is Shawan.
Shawan.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. That's one of my spiritual daughters.
Now you should be able to see the comments on your side. I don't know if you can or not, but you should be able to. If there
Yeah,
may be a way
and
to
for
set
some
it up.
reason, because I'm using my iPad, because like I said,
Well, yeah. So maybe
it
the
didn't
next
show up on my
time.
MacBook, the
Yeah,
email.
next time we'll get on your MacBook, and this again, you guys, was just an impromptu thing we decided to do because I'm testing this platform, and so if it's any kinks in it, let us know.
You actually should remember Shawan.
Really?
Yeah, Shawan was one of our dancers at the ministry.
Okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
hey, Tijuana,
Tayana.
Tayana.
Yeah, Tayana. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Another one of our members. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Tayana, I don't know if you know. Does she know us?
Yes, you know Tayana as well.
No.
She was
Okay.
also one of the dancers.
Okay.
Yeah.
She said y'all need to always do this. We miss y'all in Monk's Corner. We're gonna do more of it, Ty. We're gonna do more of it. I promise.
Yeah.
Uh, this
Yeah,
this is
can Ty
just
would
go
she
ahead.
hear me from this point?
Yes, she can hear you. I
All
think
right.
you can hear him, can't you, Ty? Let him know.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely going to do this. Again, we missing everybody. Bo, no, I'll miss it so very much and so forth. But like you said, this is something that we are actually going to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Mom reached out to me on yesterday evening for us to just kind of play with it today to see how it works, because it's been on my heart to do something like this with you guys.
Yeah, mine
And
too, and dad's too. And we just, I tell you what happened to me. We've been doing the live stream since March, of course, and we were using Facebook. And then we've had a lot of people say that they've had problems on Facebook and they couldn't get on and this, that, and the other. So I said, well, we've got a YouTube channel. We need to just make sure they can see us in all platforms. So that's when I decided to do the StreamYard. And one of the reasons I hadn't done it before, and this is a crucial thing, I think, for people who want to move ahead in whatever their endeavors are. There, I noticed in myself, I had a fear of spending money.
mm-hmm,
Some people love to spend, and there is, it comes easy to them. For me, it wasn't the same because of my money, my monetary conditioning, the way I grew up. So when I got ready to do this, I had the money, but I didn't want to spend the money. I was like, okay, I got to keep it. I don't know if something's it's going to be needed for something else. But when I decided to just go ahead and do that, I
mm-hmm,
realized that that was what was holding us back. So
mm-hmm.
being afraid to spend money for the things that are going to launch you forward
Exactly.
is really something that's self-sabotaging.
Yeah, well, from my business background, that's one of the things that we had to learn in school of business was in order
Mm-hmm.
to make money, you have to
Mm-hmm.
spend money. And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
again, I've dealt with the
yeah.
same thing as I've been researching the different platforms and medias once again to kind of stay connected with the people here. And well, in all actuality, our ministry seemed to have grown greatly,
Yeah, yeah,
especially of an area in Georgia that we was looking to plant another ministry where many of them have been connecting with us through social media since we've been doing the Facebook Live. And so, of course, as we transition into the new year, I've been really seeking and searching. I got to do something else because I'm
yeah,
missing the
yeah,
school of ministry that I used to do. I got people reaching out to me for the school of the prophets. And so, again, because we can't go to the local facility, I
yeah.
have to do it through means of social media. So, again, I've been investigating Zoom, wanting to start a YouTube channel as well, and so forth. So again, like you said, you got to spend the money.
Mhm,
That's how you're going to
mhm,
launch
mhm,
yourself into
mhm,
really
mhm,
your destiny
mhm,
and
mhm.
fulfilling your purpose.
So,
So
so after I spent it, it wasn't a whole lot. It just felt like it was a whole lot because I've been trying to hoard what I have, thinking that. But I realized that's a poverty mindset.
exactly.
That's a poverty mindset. If you're unafraid to, if you're afraid to spend the money for you to launch yourself forward, and
Hmm.
so that the wealth concept or the wealth mindset is not being afraid to spend, but at the same time knowing that you're spending it where it's going to really benefit you.
Hmm.
And so
Exactly.
that's where I was. And so I'm because, like I said, of my background and my conditioning, uh, I'm a hoarder for money. I'll save, save, save because I'm security. My focus has always been security. So
Hmm.
I save, 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 and then I don't spend for the things that I really, really need. And
Hmm.
and so that had to be let go of.
Right.
And so all of this that's been going on with the pandemic and being online, having to shut the church down to being virtual, all of that has brought that up out of me. So like you said, this is forcing people to evolve. This
Hmm.
whole thing is forcing people to evolve.
To,
We've got some more people on here, and we were about to shut down. Lisa Natoli, that's my sweetie pie. Lisa Natoli, she is a Teachers of God Foundation, and she teaches about healing, and she's wonderful. I love you, Lisa. I'm glad you tuned in.
well, hey there, Lisa.
Lisa, this is my spiritual son. He is down in I'm getting ready to say North Carolina. He's in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, and he has a church there in Moncks Corner. And he's been our spiritual son for how many years now?
Ooh, ma. I'll give the year since 1986.
He's in the process of awakening and has a church that's in the confines of religion at the same time.
Hmm.
It's a real paradox.
And it's very challenging. Because of what I do know and what I received from you guys, the revelation
Mhm.
of who we really are, and of course, our language does not really fit in the religious circle, so I have to be very careful. But
Yeah,
what I have done at Bowl, I guess I could say I have spoon fed some
yeah,
of them
yeah.
of the things that y'all have shared. And
Mhm.
I can say this on this platform, when the revelation came, especially from y'all teaching concerning who we really are. And then when you
Mhm.
make the statement, um, I'm a God, then oh my God,
Well,
you're
and what?
blaspheming
Yeah,
and so forth. But it's
yeah.
right there. It is actually in the scriptures. And so there have been times at the church where we would shift, not follow the normal, like I said, worship service with the music and the
Mhm.
singing and so forth. There have been times in the midst of our school of ministry that God would allow certain things to be said that is normally not said and
Yeah,
revealed
yeah, yeah.
in a church service. That
Wow,
as it was,
I just had a deja vu that we've done this before.
oh wow, wow,
Isn't that's wow. That's
that's
wow.
that's part of awakening. It
So
has
we've done
happened
this.
before.
We practiced this before we got here in our pre-collaboration.
Exactly, exactly. And so, one of the things that I share all the time, and especially what you just said about the deja vu, it actually has already happened, because I always tell people we have to remember our origin comes from a place, and I always use for an example the mind of God. He thought,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because we made our decisions and so forth there, all this is it just is playing out something that's already been done.
Well, you remember the scripture that says the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world?
Hmm.
So it's like everything's been practiced for our sacred contract. So our roles and everything have been practiced. So we just had a deja vu about that.
I'm enjoying this, Mom.
That was cool. That was cool.
But that's
So
it.
that means we've done this before, and in our pre-earth body, in our pre-earth mind, that collaboration that we all did. So that's why it's easy to forgive when you realize that we collaborated on who's going to play the roles. And if someone plays a role of something that I don't like, an enemy or someone who's threatened me or something that I feel is not good for me. That person collaborated with me to play that role so that I would learn
Exactly.
and that I would
Exactly.
move away from the egoic identity.
Hmm.
So it's really beneficial, really beneficial. So that was a cool deja vu.
Yes, yes. It's like we're going through a quote unquote constant crucifixion,
Yeah.
where we're crucifying that identity that you mentioned earlier. From the time you came, they named you this. Like,
Hmm.
for example, my name is Norman, and again,
Yeah,
all the descriptions.
Norman was born when somebody gave him that name,
Hmm.
gave
Yep.
that essence that name. That
Yeah.
that concept was then born. And do you realize that the essence that you are didn't really relate to that name for a
Hmm.
long time? They could say Norman all day long, and you wouldn't have even paid it any mind.
Not pay any attention, and everything is like in a reverse. And what I mean by that
Mm.
is they talk about the new birth experience.
Mhm, mhm,
You
mhm,
are born
mhm,
again or reborn, but in
mhm.
all actuality, the person that we receive the names and the labels and so forth, that's a new birth, because
That is.
you've already been born.
And when you realize that all of those labels have been added to you, that's new birth.
That's exactly it.
Mhm, mhm.
Exactly it. Yes. Yeah,
You're getting excited.
I got excited. My tablet fell over. Yep.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but that's it. And so it's like we all on a journey to our original self.
Yeah, back to our permanent identity. It's like a rewind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very, very good when and when that's happening, it doesn't always feel pleasant
Mm-hmm.
because uh I've been attached to a lot of my identities,
Mm-hmm.
believing that they were really me. And so when they start to be dismantled and I realize, okay, that's not what I am, that's not who I am, then the question is, in what am I?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I ask that question and I ask it sincerely, I am going to find out what my authenticity is. And see,
Mm-hmm.
I said this before, that you don't have authority until you're authentic.
Exactly. That's good, Mom. That's good.
You have no authority, and you're not the author of your life until you're authentic.
That's right. That's right.
Because otherwise, you're trying to pattern after someone else or trying to avoid being like someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you're doing the flip flop. It's the same thing.
That is actually what happened to me. I would say I was freed in the midst of this pandemic, because that is what I began to see. And it's amazing, once everything is, you stop all the activity that you was involved in. Now, like you said, you could begin to introspect and begin to examine certain things. And I saw where I was a prisoner of
Mm,
the perceptions
mm,
that people have placed with on me. I was
mm.
always trying to please what they thought I
Okay.
should be as a pastor or as a leader.
To live up to that image. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Mom, I'm 53 years old,
Mm.
and I realize I have not lived.
Yeah.
I realize I have not lived.
Well, I'm
And
72, and I realize in a lot of ways I have not lived
hmm
until I realized who I am authentically. And I'm
exactly.
still discovering. And that's the other thing, is that if in fact we God is so expansive, and I don't know any other way to say it, that there is no end to God, infinity,
hmm
there is no end, then there is no end to the discovery,
hmm
the self-discovery, because whatever God is, I am that. So
hmm
there's no end to my own self-discovery.
In the words of David, he saw no beginning and no end.
No end.
He just is.
Yeah.
And so it has been very liberating for me. That's why I said earlier, when I was on the platform with these other pastors, I said some of y'all may not like what I'm about to say, but I
Mm-hmm.
am actually enjoying myself, because I mean, and less stress at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm not trying to please other people with what their perception of me has
Yeah.
always been,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
And so I discovered that my emotions, which have not been put in check, was actually the thing that was keeping me locked into that.
Mm,
You
mm,
see what I'm
mm,
saying? I
mhm.
would feel a certain way if they felt like I disappointed them, or so forth and so on.
So
And
it was like that identity was trying to be sustained
hmm
and reinforced. And you were discovering that that's not who I am.
nope,
That's just the role I play. That's not who I am. That's what I do. It's not who I am.
exactly,
Mhm,
exactly.
mhm.
And
And that's
so,
what causes people who take on a certain role and they identify with it so closely, they become attached to it as if that's their real self. And when something happens to that particular role, they're
hmm
devastated
yep, yep. And they have
because
to
they
be
were believing that's what they were.
right, and
Hmm.
they got to remember to be one with God, one with Christ, one with your true self. Even in the word, it lets us know,
Hmm. Hmm.
not bond nor free, no
Hmm.
male, no female. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? All
And
those are roles.
yeah, there are roles. And if you notice in that particular scripture, he says, where there is neither bond nor free,
Yep.
barbarian nor Scythian, but Christ is all and
In
in all.
all. Yep.
Christ is all. First of all, that blows my mind.
hmm
Christ is all and in all.
Yep. That's it. That's it.
So that kind of leaves you like, okay, well, I'm already free. I'm already what I need to be. I'm already that. It's covered up by all of this stuff I believe I am,
Mm-hmm.
which is erroneous,
Yep.
but it's just covered up by all of these things I believe about myself.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that came back to mind, and I know we this was just an impromptu
I
conversation,
know.
I
And
know, but
how
see,
long have we been on here? Oh my
but
goodness.
but it's been ordained to be.
Yeah.
And so there was something, and in the midst of all of this that came back to my remembrance. Um, there was a time when I came to visit you guys, and I think we went to a Japanese restaurant, and Dad looked over to me and said, and I knew he had flipped the switch, so everything got still and quiet, and he said to me, in order for me to be successful at bowl,
Hmm.
I would have to not wake up.
And he said
And
that.
it caused me to come to tears because it was
Yeah.
like immediately, he didn't even have to explain it. It
Yeah.
immediately hit something in me. In order for me to be successful at
Hmm.
bowl, again, being confined into that religious circle, in order
Hmm.
for me to be successful as a pastor, I have to stay asleep. I
You
can't
have to
wake up.
act. You have to act. Well, I'll put it like this. I'm going to soften a little bit. You don't have to stay asleep, but you have to act like you're asleep most of the time,
Exactly. Exactly.
in order not to rock the boat. Uh,
Exactly.
so that's what that and that's the thing. When you start to wake up, the people that are around you, a lot of times they're not ready for what you are
Mm-hmm.
in your authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
They know you by your concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And when your concepts start falling away, it's like, okay, I don't know who this person is. That's kind of what happened to us when we had the 500 members and we started realizing who we are and we started changing. And they like, okay, I didn't sign up for this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't join this church and for these kinds of pastors. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when they started the little bit of the exodus. But
Yep.
so that's why he said that to you, not wanting you to go through what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, play as if you're asleep and give them tidbits, like you said.
Yep. And I knew that. I knew that's what he was saying to me, but that's where I found myself at a fork where I
Yes.
had to make a decision. Okay, do I want to totally awaken and be who I know I am,
And walk in it.
and walk, there you go,
And
and
walk
walk
in it.
in it, or
Hmm.
do I
Hmm.
trouble the water? Because again, and I've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks, that we've gotten conformed to the ways of quote unquote this world. All right.
Yes. Yes.
That the measure of success is oftentimes about how much money you have or what you possess. That's the mindset of the people. Money is the measurement for someone being success, and I don't see it that way.
And that's true because I know when we had the 500 members in that
Hmm.
huge building and
I
that all
remember.
of those people on staff and all the choirs and the praise teams and the musicians, and we had all of that stuff. We had everything, all of that going. We had it all going. Pastor was driving a Hummer. We were making more than 100,000 a year. And the minute he said, when the economic crisis came, that he was going to give up his Hummer, oh
I
man,
remember. I
there were
remember.
people that freaked out. They
Hmm.
freaked out because egos like to follow egos.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep. Cause
And so
see.
that was a huge awakening for us.
Hmm.
Uh, he gave away his Rolex. I gave away my Rolex.
Hmm.
And I tell you something, when he gave his Rolex away, we were having a service that day, and this gentleman came in. He was a visitor. We didn't even know him. And he gave his Rolex to this man because the Lord spoke to him. He just felt from his heart to give it to him. And the man cried, of course, and he left with it with the watch. And later, years later, I saw this man down in Lowe's Home Improvement,
Hmm.
and he said to me that that watch saved his home.
Wow.
Saved his home. He would have lost his home if he didn't have that watch. He was able to get the money that that watch was worth.
Wow.
And then I realized something inside of me. The ego said, "Oh man, he didn't appreciate the watch." I caught the ego. He didn't appreciate the watch.
Mhm. Wow. Never
Oh,
knowing why
oh.
you have been compelled to do something.
I
Yep.
know, I know. We got some good comments. I'm going to read a couple of them. My sweetheart Lisa is mentioning. First of all, she said that I took Bill's Rolex, and now I just have to get it fixed. And then, and there's just a lot of good comments here, Norman. We're going to have to do this again. We're going to have
Definitely,
to
Mom.
do this again.
Definitely.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't realize, I'm looking to the side because I'm looking at your comments. And again, this is my spiritual son who's down in Monk's Corner. His church is called Bold Ministries, and he's the founder of it and the apostle of it. And he is a virtual church right now, just like we are. He's still got his building though, trying to decide what to do with that and
Mm-hmm.
holding on with that. And we're going to do this again, and I'm going to promote it the next time. And we might have to do it on a regular basis. Who knows?
Mom, let's do it.
All
But
right.
I want to blow your mind. Do you not know we just celebrated 21 years of
Really?
existence this past November? Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
it's hard to believe.
Congratulations. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. That's great. That's great. Well, darling, I love you.
I love you
And
too,
you
Mom.
guys, I'm glad you guys tuned in to us. Again, this wasn't impromptu, so just stay on the lookout. Stay
Yes.
on the lookout. And we'll see you guys next time. Norman, I will call you probably next week if that's okay.
Sounds great, Mom.
All right. Love you,
Tell Dad
sweetheart.
I
Tell
said
Gwen I
hello.
love her. All right, I will.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.